Amber, please listen to me. Would you rather be remembered as the girl who broke down to look a certain way, or remembered as the badass runner who was confident, strong, determined, and had a zest for life? Please, 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 Amber, I have goals that I'm counting on you to achieve. Growing up in such an athletic family, my mom, she has the physique of like an elite athlete, and my dad, obviously as a bodybuilder and a pro bodybuilder, like his physique, ripped abs, and like just growing up in a super, like, I guess, lean family, I was so consumed in like what I looked like. I felt pressure to like try and make myself look like that, and not necessarily my parents making me feel that way. It's just growing up and seeing that and never really seeing anything other than ripped bodies. And so when I saw myself, I didn't look like them, and I felt like I needed to shrink myself in order to look like that, and obviously to look like the people that I was competing against.
This individual race is going to be something else, as you see a huge pack there. Amber Schulz right there in the middle.
I was always a lot more developed than all of my friends, and a lot of my friends were a lot smaller than me, and I envied them. And when I would go and race, I was always not the smallest, and I felt like I needed to look like them. I started having, I would say, more disordered thoughts and body dysmorphia, and just not really confident in myself when I was in about 7th grade. I was trying to figure out any way that I could get to the next level, and for me that became food. I've always been super passionate about running and always wanted to perform my best, and running has always been a main drive for me in so many things. I love the sport of running. It brings me so much joy, it makes me feel so good, and it connects me with so many amazing people. I turned running into something toxic, and I used it to my advantage to try and lose more weight, and I also used the food to try and make me a better runner. I started restricting my food intake so much to the point where it was really, really damaging my health.
If you put the right nutrition in and you put the training in, your body composition works for you. You don't have to do the hard work. So let's move away, please, from this very simplistic, if I restrict my calories, I'm going to lose weight and I'm going to be better, because you don't. If you restrict your calories and you're not providing your body with enough energy to sustain both training and your biological function, you're not going to get anywhere.
In 8th grade, I actually asked my dad, I was like, so how do I build muscle and how do I get strong? He helps me start eating. I finally was eating enough, recovering from that. And then after I raced the Junior Olympics in 2018, I had one of the best races of my entire life. I placed 5th in the 1500, which was huge for me. I almost broke 5 in the mile as an 8th grader. So it was a really big deal, and I was running faster than ever because I was finally starting to eat again after not eating throughout 7th and most of my 8th grade year. After the Junior Olympics, I decided I was going to start starving myself and purposely losing weight. The voice in my head that tells me to lose weight or to stop eating, it's not me. It's my eating disorder, and that was the big shift. It wasn't really something that I necessarily wanted to do, but it's the voice in my head that wanted me to do it. At the beginning of my eating disorder, it was to the point where I would be so starving that I couldn't even function.
Okay, so for lunch I packed some tempeh, buckwheat, quinoa, and a big, you can't really see, but it's a thing full of tahini. It's amazing. It literally makes everything. It's just so good.
Every single day was really different with what I was eating, but at my worst, I was eating less than 1,000 calories a day. My diet at that time, it was a lot of just empty calories. I was terrified of carbs. I had tried keto diet, I had tried vegan. Everything was just really low density, and I was running 8 miles a day or more and going to the gym and biking and doing everything. So anything I ate, it was never enough, even if I was eating. And so that was always my claim. I'm always well, I'm eating, and my mom would see me eat, but in terms of what I was doing as exercise, it was still never enough. And I knew it wasn't enough. I remember I was a freshman and I broke 18 for the first time. And for like a freshman, that was really big. So I was on MileSplit, I was getting interviewed.
I'm here with Amber Schulz. Amber was sub-18, around 17:56 unofficially. How did it feel, ladies?
Amazing. And I mean, after that race, I didn't eat for another like 7 hours. I didn't eat anything. And I remember being on the bus back and my coaches were like, wow, she just ran so fast. And little did they know, like, I was starving myself. And I was like essentially dying. Like, I was not okay at all.
A pivotal moment for me where it all flooded me and it hit me was when I took her to our normal chiropractor guy who does like ART and stuff like that. She was sitting on the table and he looked at her and he goes, "You've lost weight." And I looked and it was almost like something smacked me in the face. And I didn't see it before. I looked at her on the table and I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? There's something wrong. Something's going on.
In that moment, my mom was extremely kind of shocked, and she was really scared. Like, I could see the fear in her face, and to me that was terrifying. I knew that I was losing weight. Like, I wanted to lose a lot of weight, and I didn't want people to know that, and I didn't want people to start noticing, because then they would think something's wrong with me, and I didn't want to admit that something was wrong with me. I was 5'1" at the beginning of my eating disorder and about 90 pounds, and then I went to 5'3" and 78 pounds.
And I took her for blood work. The best thing I ever did, because it showed that she had softening of her bones. She had an enzyme that was for starvation.
He told me that I would be classified as anorexic, and at the time I was also dealing with orthorexia, so that's the obsession with clean eating. When I was at the doctor, I was so angry that he just told me that I had an eating disorder, when in my mind I was like, no, I'm just eating healthy.
You were angry, but you also knew that something was not right.
It's like I knew, but at that point, my eating disorder voice was too loud for me to actually process that something was wrong.
In 2025, so as you see, a big pack, Amber Schulz at the lead, as we had hoped.
Talk to me about your recovery. When did that switch happen?
At that time, it was when COVID just had hit and had just started. In a way, it really helped me because I could hone in on my recovery. It was almost like a light switch, and I know for a lot of people it wasn't, but for me it really truly was. I am so sick of absolutely wasting my life away just to stay in a smaller body. Although I grew and I gained weight, I also gained my life.
She had the mental flip, but she had already been seeing a therapist, seeing dietitians already, all that, but it didn't click for her. It was like everybody else wanting her to get better, but she had to want to get better.
An individual has to get to the place themselves where they're like, this behavior is now affecting me more than it's helping me. And at that point is when they will change.
She made the decision on her own because of someone else she was talking to who had struggled as well, and helped her through that part.
Amber Schulz, what a great run. She's talked about her eating disorders and other issues on social media, been a great champion of that.
I decided to be open with my journey throughout my eating disorder on my social media because when I was going through it, so many people on social media were sharing their journeys, and that's honestly what helped me the most. If it wasn't for the online community and the recovery community, I would not be where I am today. I do not believe we're having enough conversations about this at all. Eating disorders are way too common in our sport.
The number could be anywhere between 30 and 70% of the athletic population suffering with some element of eating dysfunction. There's a very high percentage of individuals who participate in sport and activity that will have some element of difficult relationship with food.
My suggestion to parents, especially that when they start getting into middle school and start getting the pressures of, whatever those pressures are, whether it's to be thin or to be fast, or, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how fast or slow you are. This can affect every kid. If I was to say anything, it's just to keep your eyes open and be careful with your words.
Good morning. So it is race freaking day.
Good job, Amber! Good job, Amber! Woo! Good job, Amber. Stick right there. You got this. Stay relaxed. You're stronger than you think. You're always stronger than you think.
Poultry on the left, Amber Schulz in the center, Kelly Scallon on the right.
Come on, Amber! Go, 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 go!
And Amber Schulz finds another gear. Amber Schulz, what a run.
My highlight in high school cross country, the year when I decided to recover and I had actually gained a lot of my weight back. I was eating really good, eating a lot. I actually won state for cross country.
I was like, you wanted the state title since you were a freshman, and like I talked about on earlier interviews, like I struggled really bad with an eating disorder, and overcoming that, I just wanted to prove to myself that like I can come out here and do that, even if like it's not a super fast time. It's probably one of my slowest times, so that's okay. It wasn't about that. It was just like overcoming the mental barriers.
I want young girls, when they watch this, to understand that life is so much more than your body. Life is so much more than your performance, and that you are so much more than your performance. And there's so much more to life than what is seen on the outside of somebody. And it's so important just to focus on who you are and how happy you are, and just know that there's so much out there for you.
Comment SLAY in all capital letters, and make sure that you give this video a big thumbs up. Comment down below. But I love you guys. Stay positive, stay hype, and live your life on a runner's high. You guys, peace out.